What's a tip that's NSFW, but can save your life? If your shit looks like coffee grounds and is pitch black, it's not poop, it's sold blood. I had internal bleeding, I found out after talking to my brother who is a medic in the army on the phone, and I joked about my shit. Ended up having a fun hospital visit. Turned out to be fine, but it was a scare. Edit, just to clarify, it wasn't once. I shit like 4 times that day, all pitch black coffee grounds. Just because your poop is black doesn't mean you are dying. You know what you ate and how it affects your bowels more than I do. If someone is trying to smother you with a pillow, stay very calm, don't fight it, and turn your head to the left or right. Most smothering deaths are due to the panic, rather than an actual loss of air, you know. Ever since I was a kid I'd practice this very thing. I always knew in the back of my mind that if just have to pretend to struggle for a bit, and then pretend to pass out, die, and wait for them to take the pillow off. Just lay there, hold my breath, and pretend to be dead. Then, when the coast is clear-ish, make my sloppy grand escape. If you have an anaphylactic allergy to a food or a medication, it absolutely can be passed through semen or vaginal fluid. If your partner is on a medication you are allergic to, or has eaten a food you are allergic to, it is best to use a barrier method until at least 72 hours after the last ingestion. Going into anaphylaxis through your genitals is horrible. If you get stabbed with, or impaled on, something sharp and the item stays in you, don't try and remove the item, no matter how instinctively appealing it might be to try and remove it. The item remaining inside you will increase your chances of reducing blood loss, not developing shock, and staying alive. RIP all my Hollywood inspired fight fantasies, where I pull something out and kill my enemy with it, then fight better than ever while magically healing before the end credits. Be gentle with your own or other people's assholes. Wounds in that department can take years and surgery to recover. If you have a bat for self-defense, put a sock on it. If the intruder grabs the bat, you yank the bat away, so they will only have the sock. But it only works once. I worked at a particularly rough bat at one time. We kept a greased baseball bat slow by for closing time. Works like a charm. Side note, when one tries to grab the greased bat for an instant they are grossed out and look at their hands. Ample time to check swing to the ribs. Condoms can hold up to 3 liters of water if necessary. If you go to any hotel, no matter how clean the floor and bedding might be, do not sit naked on those chairs in the corner or at the desk. Don't even duck on them. They're the dirtiest part of the room. Hard to clean a chair than a floor and bedding. On my wedding night I was very drunk. I woke up at what must have been 3 AM, naked, needing a piss. I made my way to the toilet and sat down, male, but this is normal for me, unless in a public toilet. I start pissing when I hear my new wife ask what I'm doing. I'm having a wee. I reply, what? I'm having a wee. Get to the toilet. Now, just as she says this, I get the feeling of warm piss on my inner thighs, and I sober up instantly. I'm not on the toilet. I'm on the big, posh armchair. Next morning, I try to wash it with water and a towel, thinking I've done a good job. We go down for breakfast. The hotel is overlooking the sea and the chair is in front of a floor-to-ceiling window. The morning sun steams in while we are eating, and so upon our entering the room we are greeted with the smell of warm, humid pissy air. I left an empty bottle of wine from the night before on the floor next to the chair when we departed, in the hope that they'd somehow think the smell was wine. We actually went back to the same hotel a year later for our anniversary. We weren't barred, so maybe the wine trick worked. LOL. You better believe it's preferable for a doctor to laugh at the lump on your balls. That is nothing, instead of getting testicular cancer. I built up the courage to get that weird sensation down there checked. The doctor was unavailable, so his replacement comes in, and it's a guy I went to high school with, laughing my butt off. Talk about awkward. But he was very professional and the thing turned out to be a minor infection. So yeah guys, if I could do it then you can too. If you ever find yourself plunging into water from a high place, Straighten out your body, lean back slightly, and close your asshole with all your strength. How high we talking? What happens when you do that? Straightening your body reduces the surface area that your body is contacting the water with. Closing your asshole with all your might reduces the chance water will violently enter your rectum and do serious, if not fatal, internal damage. As to the height, I'm not sure, and I'm too lazy to Google. Water will violently enter your rectum and do serious, if not fatal, internal damage. The wrath of Poseidon. If a guy had an accident and gets an erection, don't move him. Don't keep heavy items up on the headboard, like boomboxes. No boomboxes on the headboard. Concussions are not something to joke about. Always piss after sex. My ex got a brutal kidney infection from not doing this. Can save you a lot of pain. Flared bases. People. Flared bases. My mother is a nurse and once had to look after a guy whose friend stuck a vibrator up his ass on his stag do as a prank. His ass sucked the toy inside him where it proceeded to vibrate and bounce around his insides, causing a ruptured bowel as well as a number of other problems. A ruptured bowel can kill you. This guy was lucky, while his situation was particularly extreme and illustrated the need to choose your friends carefully. This can happen to anyone who is using the wrong toy or the right toy incorrectly. Anal toys should have a base that is flared past the widest point of the main body of the toy. Heck, this doesn't even have to just refer to sex and or sex toys. Always be safe and use the right tool for the particular job. People are not mentally prepared to fight a naked man or woman. Patrice O'Neal was diagnosed with diabetes after he was pissing in his girl's mouth, and she said it tasted like birthday cake. So if you're into that, keep a lookout. If you go down on someone, male or female, and it's really salty, that person might have kidney problems. When kidneys stop functioning properly, the electrolytes start exiting the body via the skin. Instead of being peed out, you could also lick their shoulder. If you are ever the victim of a chlorine gas attack, pee into a towel or handkerchief or something that will retain the urine and use it to cover your mouth, nose and eyes while you search for an exit. The urea in the urine will neutralize the chlorine gas, rendering it inert, giving you time to save your own life. If you're a man and you pee on a pregnancy test and it comes up positive, go to the doctor and get a screening as soon as possible for testicular cancer. There's a hormone in testicular cancer similar to when someone pregnant pees on a pregnancy test. I saw this somewhere else, and I hope to get the word around. Hope this helps. Don't give a blowjob with a menthol cough drop in your mouth. Unless it's a spiteful blowjob and you want them to be in severe pain, then do it. I second this. Menthol freaking hurts. If your partner asks for no condom, assume all their previous encounters has been without protection. STD are no joke. Also, if something looks or smell weird, go away. Make people as uncomfortable as possible. The weirder you act, the more you trigger the instinctive response in others to stay away from you. Obviously this won't work every time, but I've heard people challenge me to fights and then back down just because I made them overtly uncomfortable by acting out of turn. Honestly, I've achieved a similar reaction or result by saying something they aren't expecting, especially if it's just a drunkard or someone who is unduly enraged. I'll make up some nonsense like, "You know what I like? Tissue paper and milk," before they go in the trash. Like, it makes no sense, but it's close enough to a regular sentence that they try to process what you've said. That does two things. One, that split second of thinking gives you time to step away or to a more advantageous position. Two, causes them to engage a cognitive logic side of their brain, which then tells them this fight is stupid. I don't know if that's the actual science, but any gibberish that's close enough to a real sentence seems to work. Just don't use big words. LOL. I like your funny words, Magic Man. If you say to yourself, "Oh man, another bowl full of blood when you pee," you might need to see a ducking doctor. Source: worked with someone who said that at the urinal once. If your LSD tastes bitter, spit it out, unless you want to try some unknown chemical. When I was in high school, the dumbest guy in my social circle told us he planned to make some money by making LSD after finding a recipe. This was around 1990, so no internet for easily finding things out. I forget how he actually got the recipe, but he said the toughest part was you had to do a certain step at exactly the right temp, or it would become poison or something. And did I mention this guy was dumb? And he's just gonna try his best to whip up this shit that very easily could become poison if he messes up. Thanks Derek. I have never tried any drugs like that because you scared me straight in 9th grade. I sure as duck hope you didn't kill 100 people with shitty LSD. For guys and anyone that might be a caregiver for older men or someone unable to care for themselves fully, it is unfortunate, but you need to clean the foreskin if you're helping someone care for themselves. A huge issue in elderly men going into long-term care is infections with their foreskin. I get it. I didn't enjoy cleaning my mother, and she was pretty mad about it too when she was no longer able to do it herself. But if they can't do it, you have to. 5 pounds of pressure to rip an ear off. 7 pounds of pressure to rip testicles off. Just grab and pull downward. Humans are way stronger than our brains allow us to realize. That's why most people aren't just ripping off their own body parts. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,